That was great. That was great.
So, next. In thinking about our conversations today, what have you found to be the most encouraging out of this conversation? What's really encouraged you?
Out of this whole...
Out of this conversation today, what have you found to be the most encouraging?
That when, I've sat through, and I'm not in academia, I mean, Mike has done this a million times, but I've sat through talk groups. I've sat through meetings. I have been there, done that, and been bored out of my mind. Coming into today, I thought, okay, we're going to hear a little bit about Jesus, and we're going to talk a little bit about art.
A whole lot about Jesus and a little bit about art.
And if you hear the background out there in the
That's a Dolly Parton song, I'm pretty sure.
You'll hear a whistle.
Or it should be.
I was watching college football, basketball. Yeah. So I kind of felt that I was going to just sort of meander around, fill y'all's cocktails up, and get back out there and watch the game.
Awesome.
But
Here you are.
This is, this has been wonderful.
No, good.
This has been wonderful, and hearing from every one of y'all is just, it's been something that I didn't expect.
Nice.
I did not expect it.
Yay!
But
I love a good surprise, and I've cried through the whole thing. I hope y'all haven't. I hope y'all
Sometimes you gotta
agree
get
with
it out,
us.
man.
We have to keep doing this. We have to keep doing this.
We do.
Yeah. Okay. Who else?
I was surprised at how quickly
Oh,
we
wow.
became a community.
Yeah.
Yes.
A supportive community.
Mm-hmm.
We come from different walks of life, but we reached common ground, even if it was instructive, very fast.
Yeah.
And to me, that speaks to the power of the medium. That speaks to the power of art itself. To bring people into a genuine presence with each other, as confronting as it may feel, when really it isn't.
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
But brings us into
But that's the conversation.
it is. But I was stunned by how fast we became very similar.
Y'all launched. I'm like, okay, y'all
escalated
went through
to
my first three questions like in 2.5.
It escalated to a
And
great
that's the language of art.
I would say it's the language that brought everybody
That's the
together. It's not where we
language.
come from.
Although-
it's those instincts.
And Mike, I want to go back.
I mean, we could have brought the elephant in. You know what I'm saying? He could have had a conversation in here too. Because it's the instincts.
It is.
That's
And I
what came
don't
out.
want to forget your very first comment about your friend of yours who said that she, when she came back from Santa Fe, said that she learned that she was approaching art with the wrong
The
language.
wrong language. Yeah.
I wrote that down. That's powerful.
Yeah.
I'd love for her to be a part of this conversation. What would she
We
have
can
said
make it.
today?
We can make that happen fast.
What would she say today?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Interesting.
What language did she funk?
We didn't elaborate.
Ah, so all
That's
you
what we
know
We want her to host
she
the next
said
one.
Yes.
I came. She said I came to art with the wrong language.
Because that's an awesome statement.
And
I don't know what it means.
if you
Probably
had,
more about technique than about
if you had,
Oh yeah.
feeling.
here this was my inference,
hard to say.
that she was more prescriptive,
Very prescriptive,
in art
yes.
than responsive.
Well, it's like Geppe
That's,
said.
that's a really great way to
She
say it.
she brought the agenda
It's
rather
like-
than
yep.
responding,
What Geppe said,
Context.
labeling.
which is a lot of what you talked about,
Yep.
Geppe, in a lot of ways. But she brought the agenda to her art
It was a
rather than
business.
She's a
responding.
She's
Right?
Potter.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
she's
didn't mean
Potter.
to.
Yeah.
She's a potter.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it, but we could. I mean,
No, we
we can
can-
put this on the table
Yes.
because, and it happens to Shannon, it happens to all of us, right? There's a duality, there are two things going on here. And Potter is a real good example. All of her work revolves around a technique, a way of doing, an agenda, right? You
Check,
do this,
check,
you do
check.
this, you do this.
Right.
Process.
Process, yes.
Yes, but
But there's also pieces built into that process.
but there's a way of approaching, right? There's a way of getting a result. As painters, we learn how to mix color. We learn the properties
Right.
of the paint.
Yes.
We learn composition.
The opacity.
We learn these things, right? We have to take what we know, what we've learned, and not let it constrict us, right? But let it be the vehicle
Expand
for us to express
Yes.
ourselves.
I'm all about that.
Shannon has
That's a
got,
great-
he goes into a house and goes, look at all that you
Explosion.
could do. But
And I also do color on hair because I'm a hairstylist.
there
Well,
you
there's
go.
that.
How can you do me?
But
I've
you
already got
know-
you. We're gonna fix that. Right
But
there.
you
We're gonna fix
know-
that.
Don't touch it. I love
You
it.
know, in order-
Bleach tips.
I'm the one who needs
I want
to
to have that hair, but
Yeah, what I know.
oh shit,
It's beautiful.
So
But you know that you also have to, there are nails that have to be pounded, there's walls that have to be moved.
You have to
There's
pay your way.
technical stuff.
Yes.
And I have a budget.
Well, there's that too, but,
Right.
but in that way.
But that's part
that's-
of it.
But that
process.
isn't, that,
It's like
that
having a
ain't-
patron.
no.
You know,
We
when you do
have
art,
to
it's like having a
somehow
patron.
be
You have
able to balance these things so that one does not interfere or overwhelm or hamper the other. So that my need to have this perfect, this technique, this this face.
That should be out the
straight,
window. Oh, yeah. There's no.
Yeah.
eliminates then the soul of the painting.
Yep.
Right.
It sure does.
Look at Rembrandt.
The
is
spiritual
another
part of it,
great
to me.
example. How did he do that? How did he paint that? He just used paint. He
My
had to
question
mix
is, how
the
did he
stuff
see
himself.
that? How
He had to
did
grind his
see
own
it?
stones.
How did
Well,
he see
seeing,
it?
yeah,
I always-
seeing is one thing, but then he had to translate what he saw into the actual physical.
You know,
But we're going back to the Potter piece and her words around language. Okay, and I'm
We'll
going to do that.
never,
Go ahead,
we'll
Shannon.
never know.
no, I mean,
Wait,
go
what's
ahead
your-
because that's
Awesome
what I was going
question.
to ask is, you know, man, I love this. But if we're going to do this, are we going to invite a potter
Well,
as an artist into the group?
I mean,
To talk?
that's a group
Why
decision,
not?
not mine.
Why
Well,
not?
it depends on
That's
the
a-
agenda. I mean, yeah.
Why not?
I'm going
I
to
mean,
allow
I
that to be the
invite an
group's decision.
architect or a what? I mean,
Anybody
it's
that
the
is
person,
a-
it's the people.
I will say that-
Glen and I, we had
We
that
wrestled
discussion.
back and forth with this, and we were
Yeah.
like, are there other people we should invite to this group? And we talked about it, we're like, no, not for the very first conversation. This is the group.
Right.
These are the people that really, in our lives,
And it works. It works.
that I think are ready to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Not everybody's ready to have this conversation.
No, and some people don't care.
And some people just don't go real far. Yeah, and that's
I'm
okay.
inspired
But
to gather a
just-
bunch of
just-
artists
okay,
together
so-
for a party
just
in
to the
general
point
to
of
have a bunch of
logistics,
conversation.
Yeah.
To the point of
Yeah.
logistics, our home is always open.
Thank
for
you.
this. Always.
you.
It's an easy drive for us.
Always open.
You know?
And I would like for us to figure out a way when we meet to use the sunroom out here
Well, set it up. Let's go.
for
My
creativity.
skin's all about this.
We can do that.
I get
We can do
dark
So
in the summer.
we're happy to host.
Well, I'm happy to do it too at my house.
It would be fun to flip it
Well,
around.
didn't y'all just talk about some,
We are-
some
I'm kind of in
before-
between
during our
the
break?
two of
South Louisiana.
us, right? Glenn from West Nashville and then you guys from this end.
Sure.
So I'm kind of in between.
You are kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Didn't you all talk about something about meditation?
Well, yeah,
and things a little bit earlier?
we'll
Okay, we'll go back to that. Okay. All right. So I want to come back to.
All of it.
Are we good with talking with about the wrong language, and have we muddled through that enough for right now?
We'll
I think
pick
that's
that
a
up
whole
again.
other day. I mean, that's a
Right,
whole other
yeah.
day. We can
Oh,
pick
I
that
think
up
so, too.
each time.
And
in fact.
I think that would be a good.
Those are
I think a
things we
potter
put in
would
the
be
parking
good to
lot.
add to this
Yeah.
because it is. They come from
That's gonna always
as you said,
Always.
a much more structured environment.
Yeah.
But you have to put. When Susan and I started doing mosaic work together 1,000 years ago, for all that it was.
I remember.
I think we should do that.
We
And I was saying,
we
okay,
completely
fine,
we completely
fine.
trashed a Durango over it, but hey, it was fun. she and I were just trying to learn how the F do we do this? And Susan just took off on we're going to do blah. I'm like, whoa. Let's back up for a second. First, we have to know the rules, and then you break the rules. And I think that this is kind of the same thing.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Kind of.
I was working with the wrong language. I have to know the language first.
Ooh.
Right? And then I know, how do I push the language? How do I take the language? How do I educate myself more on more language? Adding to my language.
How do you know? How do you even know that you know the language or you don't?
If it works or not, most of the time.
Can I ask you a question real quick? When we talk about parties, what is it that we're trying to establish right here? Are we trying to establish the difference between the technique in making party and visual arts? That is more structured.
I think it's more about process.
No, just there are certain things that all of us, no matter what it is,
discovery.
whether it's pottery or whether it's painting or what, right?
Yeah.
That you just that it helps to know.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who never learned anything about painting, right? Who just come to it. They learn by learning, right?
Self-taught,
Now, I came to a point where I was struggling to do things and thought, this is stupid. I'm reinventing the wheel. Why am I doing that?
It's
Why
like hitting
don't
the
I
golf
go
ball
find
wrong.
out somebody who knows? Right.
Right.
So that, if I take blue and orange complements and put them in a certain way, I can get a really cool gray. Right? Well,
That works with my blue and orange paint.
you can fall on that, maybe. You might figure it out at some point, but gosh, isn't it a lot nicer to just kind of learn it?
Yeah.
So that you can use it.
It's yours.
Gotcha.
And that's what I'm talking about. But that doesn't get in the way.
But that doesn't get into spirituality. That's just
it doesn't get in the
art in
way at
itself.
all. To me, it supports it.
Yeah.
It takes another layer of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off out of the way, right?
Yeah, because I always think about the reverse process of things, right? Like, you were talking about Rembrandt. We've been talking about Rembrandts and Michelangelo.
I gotta
and
roll
all
with
this
this
stuff.
one.
And then there's always something that is really interesting when you get to know, the artist. That's what I keep referring back to, this stamping history. It's just the fact that a lot of these artists also, the level that they reach in life, it was during the process, and I was interested in the beginning of these artists. And for me, it's super interesting to see Kandinsky's first sketches, Miro first sketches,
You're welcome.
right? Jackson Pollock first sketches.
Where did
Yeah.
these-
Nothing to do what he ended up doing.
No.
Nothing to do at all.
Dolly.
And it's so
Salvador Dali.
exactly.
Amazing.
So when
He's
you
one of
go
my
back to
favorites.
those times,
Huh?
right? There's always an origin. There's always a
I
way
hated it
to
until I saw it.
learn about
I don't
this
understand
person,
him.
this artist in time.
I like
The person
his art.
that makes
He's out there.
part of the stuff, pottery, whatever, right? So we're thinking there's something here in their head that is not, I guess, immediately seen there because we see as a structure. But if you actually think about the reverse process, that is in the head, you probably find things.
Yeah.
How this person, I will be interested to see,
Right.
talk to a party person, say, okay, so do you actually start with sketches? How do you come with this?
Right.
Before you start kind of learning that, check boxes, whatever.
Yeah, I'm thinking Becca Gannick would be
I mean,
such
too,
an
just
amazing.
It's just
instant.
that
Because
thing.
that one afternoon I spent with her at the wheel, and her explaining, I do this because of this, and I do this. She puts a
Oh, it's
little bit of,
fascinating.
she puts just a little bit of a tiny foot up on her everything she does because it needs to show a shadow on your
Fascinating.
pieces.
The
Just things like
sense-
that.
But
But then she also has her own aesthetic
see
to
that.
the piece itself.
But that's it. That's it. Yes, it's
Right.
a plastic art.
It's the
you know,
rules,
you get it
but
right.
then you bring your own.
But you have to infuse it with your own sense, your own
Yeah.
self, your
Yeah.
own
Right.
being, your own
Yeah.
aesthetic.
You do.
Light.
You do.
That for sure. That for sure.
Okay, another Picasso piece.
No. to the issue of language and vision in art,
And spirituality.
can you imagine art without the capability of vision,
Without the capability of vision.
of sight, eyesight?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Touch.
What I have here is a tile that was painted by a man in India who was congenitally blind
Nice.
from birth. He
What?
never had eyesight,
That changes everything.
but he painted this tile
It's pretty amazing, actually.
with no
I'm,
no organic
Building it up.
vision or
That is
understanding
one of my
of vision. And when you see this,
don't make me cry.
and
But
again,
no sense of color either.
he had no sense of color, texture,
No reference.
dimension, anything.
Values.
But he painted this tile.
This is all. What?
Oh my God, this is stunning.
I only got a glimpse, but it's coming around. I can't wait.
You know what my first reaction was?
It was like,
I mean, it's terrible, it's cynical. It's like, yeah, right. No. Somebody sold you a bill of goods on this guy, right? You can't do this if you can't see, if you've never had anything of sight.
This is pretty stunning.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. It truly is that.
So what that tells us is that the dimensions of language in art
But how